The sun was hot, and the sand was everywhere. A group of soldiers walked up a steep hill. Their heavy packs dug into their shoulders. They were tired, but they had to keep moving. They were American Special Forces. They were looking for bad guys in the mountains of Afghanistan. The year was 2006. In the past, they would have to carry a very heavy weapon called MK-19. The MK-19 was a giant machine gun that shot grenades. It was strong and scary, but it was also very, very heavy. It weighs much as a big dog. The soldiers hated carrying it up the mountains. It slowed them down. It made them tired. If they got attacked, they were too slow to fight fast. But on this day, they had something new. They had a secret weapon. It was called the MK-47 Striker. The soldiers called it the Striker. It was a brand new kind of grenade machine gun. It was black and looked like a robot gun from a movie. The best part was the weight. It was much lighter than the old MK-19. One soldier could carry the main part of the gun. Another soldier could carry the stand. It was still heavy, but not impossible. They could climb the steep rocks. They could move fast. They felt strong. They knew he had a surprise for the enemy. The enemy was hiding. They were smart. They knew the American soldiers had big guns. So the enemy did not stand in the open. They hid behind big rocks. They hid behind thick mud walls. They hid in deep holes. The old MK-19 gun could shoot grenades at them, but the grenades would just hit the front of the rock. The explosion would be on the outside. The enemy behind the rock would be safe. They would laugh and shoot back. This was a big problem for the soldiers. They needed a way to hit the bad guys who were hiding. The MK-47 Striker had a special trick. It had a computer brain. On the side of the gun there was a screen. It looked like a small TV screen. This was the lightweight video sight. It was not just a piece of glass to look through. It was a computer. It had a laser eye. The soldier could point the gun at the rock where the enemy was hiding. He would push a button. A laser beam would shoot out. It would hit the rock and bounce back. The computer would measure the time. It would know exactly how far away the rock was. Then came the magic. The soldier would load a special bullet. It was a 40mm grenade, but it was not a normal grenade. It was a smart grenade. The gun's computer would talk to the grenade. It would tell the grenade exactly when to explode. The soldier did not want the grenade to hit the rock. He wanted it to go over the rock. He wanted it to explode in the air, right above the enemy's head. The computer did all the math. It told the grenade, fly for exactly 500 meters, then go boom. Suddenly, the soldiers heard a sound. Crack, thump, bullets hit the dirt around them. The enemy was attacking. The bad guys were high up on a ridge. They were hiding behind a long stone wall. The American soldiers jumped for cover. They were pinned down. They could not move. If they stood up, they would get hit. The team leader yelled, "Get the striker up." Two soldiers ran forward. They stayed low. They set up the tripod legs. They the black gun onto the mount. It took only a few seconds. The gunner looked at the small screen. He saw the stone wall on the screen. He could see the heat from the enemy guns. The computer showed him a red dot. He put the red dot on the wall. He pressed the laser button. Beep! The computer said the wall was 600 meters away. The gunner pressed a button to add a little bit more distance. He wanted the grenades to go 602 meters just past the wall. The gun made a mechanical whirring sound. It was talking to the bullets. It was programming them. The gunner pulled the trigger. Thunk, thunk, thunk. The gun did not shoot super fein gun. It was a steady rhythm. The grenades flew through the air. They looked like small dark birds. They did not hit the wall. They flew right over the top of it. The enemy soldiers behind the wall felt safe. They thought the grenades missed. But then, boom, boom, boom. The grenades exploded in the air. Shrapnel rained down. The enemy had no roof over their heads. Could not save them from the sky. The shooting from the ridge stopped. The striker had won. This battle showed why the MK-47 special. It was the first smart grenade launcher. The old MK-19 was a brute. It just threw explosives and hoped for the best. The MK-47 was a sniper. It was precise. It used math to win the fight. The soldiers loved that they could carry it. They loved that it could see in the dark with its thermal camera. At night, the screen would show everything in black and white or glowing orange. The enemy could not hide in the dark. The striker's eye saw everything, but the striker was not just used in the mountains. Years later, it went to a different kind of war. It went to Ukraine. In 2025, a special group of Ukrainian soldiers got the MK-47. These were the best soldiers in Ukraine. They fought very dangerous missions. The war in Ukraine was different. It had drones. It had tanks. It had cities with broken buildings. The Alpha team needed a weapon that could move fast. They used fast trucks and jeeps. They would drive close to the enemy, shoot fast, and drive away. This is called shoot and scoot. The MK-47 was perfect for this. It was light enough to put on a small truck. The Alpha team mounted it on the back of a pickup truck. They drove through the ruined streets of a city. The enemy was Russian troops. They were hiding inside a broken building. They were in the windows on the second floor. The Ukrainian gunner used the striker's video sight. He zoomed in. He could see into the dark window. He used the laser. He found the grenades to fly right into and explode inside the room. The gunner fired. The grenades sailed through the open window. Crump crump. The explosions happened inside the room. The enemy machine gun guns stopped firing. The Alpha team cheered. They drove the away before the enemy could shoot back with artillery. The striker gave them speed and power. They did not have to stay in place and trade shots. They could hard and vanish. This was very important in a modern war where drones are watching everything. If you stay still, you die. The striker let them move. There was another reason the Mk-47 was good in Ukraine. It could fight drones too. Sometimes the enemy would send small flying robots to drop bombs. It is very hard to shoot a small drone with a rifle. It is too small and moves too fast. But the Mk-47 shoots grenades that explode in the air. If the gunner can get the range of the drone, he can set the grenade to explode near it. The blast knocks the drone out of the sky. It is like a giant fly swatter. The soldiers felt safer knowing they had a weapon that could clear the sky. But not every story about the Mk-47 is perfect. There were some problems too. The gun is very expensive. It costs a lot of money to make the special computer sight. It costs a lot of money to make the smart bullet. Some soldiers said it was too fancy. In the heat of a dirty, dusty battle, sometimes simple is better. The old Mk-19 was heavy, but it was simple. You just pulled the trigger and it worked. The Mk-47 had batteries. It had buttons. Soldiers had to be trained to use the computer. If the battery died, the smart screen went black. There was a famous video from Afghanistan. It showed soldiers in a fierce fight. They were shouting and shooting. The Mk-47 gunner was trying to shoot at the enemy, but he was not using the fancy computer screen. He had pushed to the side. He was looking through a simple metal sight on top of the gun. Why? Maybe the computer was too slow. Maybe it was broken. Maybe he just needed to shoot fast and didn't have time to push buttons. This made people argue. Did we spend millions of dollars on a computer gun if the soldiers just use it like a dumb gun? This was a big debate. The generals said the computer made the gun accurate. They said it saved ammo because you didn't miss as much. The soldiers on the ground said, sometimes I just need to pour lead on the enemy round. The Mk-47 fired a little slower than the old Mk-19. It fired from a closed bolt. This means the bullet is locked inside before it fires. This makes it more accurate, but it also makes it few per minute. Some soldiers missed the fast thump 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 of the old gun. They wanted speed, not math. Despite the arguments, the Mk-47 kept proving itself. It was used by the Navy SEALs. It was used by the Army Rangers. It was used by soldiers in Australia and Israel too. In Israel, they put the Mk-47 on their tanks and armored cars. Like the accuracy, they fought in cities a lot. In a city, there are innocent people. You cannot just blow up a whole building. You need to hit exactly the right note. The Mk-47, it helped save innocent lives by only hitting the bad guys. One dramatic story comes from a training mission that turned real. A team of U.S. Special Forces was in Syria. They were driving across a flat desert. The dust was thick. Suddenly, a truck came racing towards them. It was a suicide truck bomb. The enemy wanted to crash into them and explode. The truck had metal plates welded on the front. Bullets from rifles were bouncing off the metal. The truck was getting closer. It was a scary moment. The soldiers were yelling. The gunner on the lead vehicle swung the Mk-47 around. He didn't have time to use the laser for an airburst. He used a different kind of ammo. He used HEDP. That stands for high explosive dual purpose. It is a grenade that can punch through metal. The gunner aimed at the speeding truck. He fired a burst. Thump! The grenades hit the front of the truck. They punched right through the metal armor. They exploded inside the engine. The truck skidded sideways. It flipped over in a cloud of dust. Then the bomb in the truck exploded. A massive fireball went up. The soldiers shielded their eyes. The Mk-47 had stopped the truck just in time. The power of the 40mm grenade was enough to kill a vehicle. The soldiers in the team breathed a sigh of relief. That night, they cleaned the Mk-47 with care, wiped the dust off the lens of the computer sight. They oiled the bolt. They treated the gun like a member of the team. It had saved their lives. They knew it was a complicated machine. They knew it was expensive. When a truck bomb is coming at you, or when an enemy is hiding behind a wall, you don't care about the cost. You just want the best tool for the job. The Mk-47 striker is also a master of the night. The enemy likes to fight at night because the Americans cannot see them, but the striker has a thermal sight. Thermal means heat. People are warm. Rocks are cold. On the thermal screen, a person looks like a bright white ghost. Even if the enemy wears camouflage clothes, they can hide their body heat. The gunner can sit in the dark and watch. He can see a tiny glowing head peek over a wall thousands away. In one mission, a team was guarding a small base. It was pitch black. There was no moon. The soldiers were quiet. The gunner on the Mk-47 was scanning the desert. He moved the gun slowly left and right. Suddenly, he saw white shapes on his screen. They were crawling on the ground. It was an enemy sneak attack. There were 20 of them. They were trying to cut the wire fence. The gunner did not turn on a spotlight. He did not yell. He quietly aimed the gun. He used the laser to find the distance. The enemy was 400 meters away. He whispered to his team, "Contact front." He pressed the buttons. He set the airburst. Then then he opened fire. The enemy never knew what hit them. Explosions blossomed in the air above them. The attack was stopped before it even started. The rest of the enemy ran away into the dark. They were terrified. They thought the Americans had magic eyes. In a way did. The MK-47 gave them the power to see the invisible. The gun is built to be tough. It is made of strong metal and space-age plastic. It has to survive sandstorms. It has to survive rain and snow. In Afghanistan, the dust is like powder. It gets into everything. It jams guns. But the MK-47 was designed to keep the dirt out. The closed bolt design helps seal the inside of the gun. Soldiers said that even after a long drive in the dusty desert, the striker would fire on the first pull. Reliability is the most important thing for a soldier. A fancy gun that doesn't shoot is just a heavy club. The striker shoots when it needs to. The ammo belt for the MK-47 is also interesting. The grenades are linked together. The gunner feeds the snake into the side of the gun. The gun eats the belt. It spits out the empty metal shells from the bottom. The gunner has to be careful to keep the belt straight. If it twists, the gun can jam. In the heat of battle, a helper usually stands next to the gunner. He holds the ammo belt to make sure it feeds smoothly. It is teamwork. One man shoots, one man feeds. They work together like a machine. The MK-47 has a competitor. It is the German GMG grenade launcher. The German gun fires faster, but the American MK-47 is lighter. The argument between speed and weight never ends. But for the soldiers who have to walk up mountains, wins. Ounces equal pounds, and pounds equal pain, the soldiers say. Every pound they save is extra water or extra ammo they can carry. The MK-47 saves them almost 40 pounds compared to the old gun. That is a lot of pain saved. That means they have more energy to fight when they get to the top. Training to use the MK-47 takes time. You cannot just pick it up and be an expert. Soldiers go to a special school. They sit in a classroom. They learn about the computer. They learn about ballistics. Ballistics is the science of how things fly through the air. They learn how to replace the batteries. They learn how to clean the delicate glass lens. Then they go to the range. They practice shooting at old trucks and wooden targets. They practice using the Airburst. It is hard at first, but when they get it right, it feels amazing. To see a target disappear in a puff of smoke exactly where you want it is a good feeling. In the future, the MK-47 might get even smarter. Scientists are working on new updates. Maybe the computer will talk to other drones. Maybe a drone flying high in the sky will spot a target and send the coordinates straight to the gun. The gunner would just shoot here box on his screen. This is called network warfare. The MK-47 is for this. It is already a computer. It is ready to plug into the future. The old guns are just metal. The striker is part of the digital web of war. As change, the weapons change. We used to fight with swords, then musket, then machine guns. Now we fight with computer-controlled grenade launchers. The MK-47 striker is a bridge between the old world and the new world. It still shoots big bullets. It still makes a loud noise, but it thinks before it shoots. It helps the soldier be smarter. It helps the soldier be safer. For the young soldier carrying the heavy tripod up a muddy hill in the rain, it is still just a heavy piece of metal. He might grumble and complain. Why is this thing so heavy? He might ask. But when the fighting starts and the enemy is hiding and the bullets are flying, he will be glad he has it. He will set up the striker. He will look through the magic screen. He will press the button, and he will know that he has the power to win the battle and bring his friends home safe. That is the story of the MK-47 striker. It is a tool for survival in a dangerous world. It is the smart hammer of the modern infantry. And as long as there are wars to be fountains, cities, and deserts, the striker will be there, thumping away, one smart grenade at a time.